Charlie Morgan built a YouTube empire effortlessly in 2 hours per week. His YouTube channels enabled him to generate millions of revenues for his business. In fact, a majority of his leads come from YouTube. How does he do it? Charlie has a simple blueprint that works like magic, but he also has a big problem, which is why he created a second channel without anyone noticing it. We are going to deconstruct how Charlie generates millions for his business through a YouTube channel effortlessly, and why he avoided his downfall on YouTube just a few weeks ago. And the keyword for Charlie Morgan is effortless selling. That's by far the first and most important tactic that this guy uses on you and in his YouTube videos. Just check out this video.
If you need help getting clients, there's a link in the description you can click. I don't care if you check it out or not, but it might help you. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
And now stop right here. This sounds like he doesn't really give a flying F whether or not you do business with him or you don't. But obviously that's not the truth, right? The entire reason why he has this YouTube channel is so that he can sell you stuff. And if you check some of his videos, he doesn't just have the CTA at the end of the videos, but he sometimes also places it at the beginning or in the middle of the video. So he does obviously care for you to check out his business. But this is simple psychology 101. If you tell people to please check out my business and buy from me, nobody will buy. If you do it subtly and you're like, check it out or don't. I have millions of followers and customers anyways. Then people suddenly get curious, they check it out and they end up buying. So the key for Charlie Morgan is effortless selling and a couple of other techniques that he uses. But this was not an overnight success. Look, he started 4 years ago. If you look at these videos, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, those are his oldest videos, and they got a few thousand views by now, which means at the beginning he probably got a couple of hundred views in the first month, and you see that from the beginning he was really focused on agency owners, right? He's saying how you can, like how he booked discovery calls for my agency, book your calendar, can't land agency clients, SMMA clients, for agency owners, agency told. This is hyper focused on agency owners, and this is actually something that is very advisable. If you have a business and you have a YouTube channel for your business, then it doesn't make sense for you to target the whole world. Actually, you want to just target your ICP, your ideal customer profile, or as we call it, the IVP, the ideal viewer profile, which is basically exactly the same as your ICP, but they are all on YouTube. And well, he started here, right, with these goofy thumbnails. Some of them look a little bit amateurish, and you wouldn't do these kind of thumbnails really in today's day and age. It looks like freaking gives you eye cancer. But, and this is what happens if you are consistent. At some point, he gained traction. So if you look at these uploads, here he had one ultra long form, so he just said, okay, let me go for 1.5 hours. This didn't really take off, 5.9 thousand views, but then he had this absolute banger, 1 hour, 3 minutes, 26,000 views, which for him back at this time, this was massive, right? How I get my SMMA clients a 10x ROI without ads. And this was probably the first video where he was talking himself for 1 hour. This thing doesn't count because it's some kind of interview. He's talking to this Ethan guy, and probably nobody wanted to hear about him, right? So here he started talking for 1 hour to the camera, and he saw an immediate success. Then what you need to do in these cases, and this is basic YouTube one-on-one, right? But so many people don't do it, and it's actually not as easy to do it because your processes need to be in place. If some video works, like in this case, this video really worked well, you just duplicate it and you do more and more of these videos. Now, he obviously didn't do that, right? Next video, 12 minutes, next video, and even worse, like he's interviewing some dude here as a testimonial. Next video, 15 minutes, next video, 13 minutes. He doesn't really do it again, right? a top tier YouTube strategist now would, basically a top tier YouTube strategist now would bury himself or herself and say, this is it, this really is hopeless, right? But as we know, the story of Charlie Morgan does have a happy end. And so what he started doing is, he started doing longer videos here, 51 minutes, 1 hour 16, 1 year ago. And then 3 things essentially happened that helped him break out. The first thing, you already see that, even if you have zero clue about YouTube. You see these videos are all an hour long or longer, right? So he did kind of get it, okay, long videos work, let me do freaking long videos, right? So he started doing this. Great job, Charlie. Now, next thing is, he started doing video fame hijacking. So we see here this video about a guru called Hamza. He's someone, like 16-year-old guys look up to him because he tells them how to deal with psychological problems, how to be a real alpha man, and how to, have success with women, which is, I guess, valuable advice for young guys. And this guy is pretty well known, and certainly was more well known than Charlie Morgan 1 year ago. Probably still is, with a wide population that is present on YouTube, right? So this is called fame hijacking. Essentially, you make a video about someone that is already famous and you comment on them in some shape or form. Here he said, I infiltrated Hamza's brainwashed cult. Now, how does this relate to what he's doing? There is some kind of overlap, but it's not perfect, right? It's not purely agency growth content, right? So probably this video got him a lot of views, but it didn't get him a lot of followers. Probably this video got him a lot of views, right, which you see here, but it didn't get him a lot of clients. But what it did is it put him on the growth map of the YouTube algorithm. So the YouTube algorithm saw, something's going on here, right? This video is a real outlier, got a lot of clicks, and these outliers always help you to get some subscribers that will then turn into recurring viewers on your new videos. So that's the second thing that he did. Along with making longer videos, he did fame hijacking. And then the millionaire video. How to become a millionaire when you're broke. 304,000 views to this date, a 6.1x outlier. 1 hour long. And here for Charlie Morgan and his team, I guess everything clicked. Because look what happened. He has this very iconic YouTube thumbnail. And I saw this video back then and I was like, interesting thing. This thumbnail really evokes curiosity, even though it goes against so many rules of thumbnail making, right? There is no sexy animations. His face is not really well lit out. You can't see half of these things. Like, what are these numbers there? Okay, I guess it's years, but if you look at it as a thumbnail, it's really not as beautiful, but somehow it evokes curiosity. It builds this so-called curiosity gap, because you see this thing and you're like, okay, is this how to become a millionaire when you're broke? Plus, one thing I learned from great YouTube strategists that do packaging, basically. So they do nothing else the whole freaking day than think about what title and thumbnail should I use for certain videos. What you need to have is a divide or a big gap in your titles and thumbnails. And you have this very nicely, how to become a millionaire, right? So you were reaching for the top here, millionaire when you're broke, okay, when you have zero. So you're starting here at the bottom, you want to go to the top. And this crazy picture that I'm showing you right here is exactly how you're going to accomplish it. That's why this video works. And then what the guy did, he didn't do it before, right? But what he did now is he doubled down. And that's precisely when this channel exploded. You see, next video, exactly the same shit, right? Like some weird graph, nobody gets it, but okay, this is apparently the billionaire mindset. Next one, again, some graph. Next one, and so on, right? And these did extremely well, right? I mean, this one and this one just did 50 and 80,000 views, but this one again 300,000, this one almost 200,000. So now he has cracked the YouTube code by doubling down on what works. And again, this sounds so easy, but in practice, it's not as easy, right? If you look at these videos, I mean, how to become a millionaire when you're broke, you can't just do the same video twice, right? You can't just say exactly the same thing, have exactly the same title and thumbnail. So your task here is to identify the repeatable elements in your title and in your thumbnail, make the next one as similar to the previous one as possible without it being exactly the same and you annoying your subscribers and your viewers. And I'll tell you one thing. People think if I have a successful video, number one, and it's about topic ABC, I can't do the same video about the same topic again, right? YouTube video number 2, I can't talk about ABC again. It's not possible. Well, guess what? It is possible. You can just talk about the exact same thing. In fact, there's YouTubers like Iman Ghazi, right? He does the same thing. Essentially, every one of his videos is about how to build an SMMA social media marketing agency, and he reiterates the same points again and again. If you look at his videos, I would say there's like 70% of them are very, very similar. But every time he tells the story a little bit differently. The beginning of the video is always a little bit different, but in the end, the content is 70% the same. So this works. Now, next thing that he did very nicely and that you can see here, right? He started, as we already established, with hardcore business lessons, okay? So the only way to succeed with SMMA in 2024, the SMMA appointment setting masterclass. Right? Here's even a cold email template, right? So he goes into extreme detail and he makes sure to give you a lot of value. Only this is something he did 2 years ago, right? So 2 years ago, that was his strategy. Hardcore business lessons in depth. And now, what's this? Now, I became a millionaire at 21. Here's 10 lessons. How I found purpose in my life. I got rich when I understood this. What the fuck? This is like spiritual mindset life lessons, right? It's very, very broad. And this is a question many people are struggling with when they start their YouTube channel is, should you go broad or should you go super niched down? The answer is, it's easier to niche down. So you can definitely go broad like Charlie did here and like he's doing recently, but then you need to make sure you really get hundreds of thousands of views, right? Because these hundreds of thousands of views are not all going to be your ideal viewer profile. They're mostly going to be people that will never ever buy from you. So if you do this broad strategy and you have views, so if you do this broad strategy and you don't get these hundreds of thousands of views, which is very likely because it's very hard to get hundreds of thousands of views, right? If that's the case, then you're setting yourself up for failure because you're not only going to not get hundreds of thousands of views, the few thousand or 10,000 views that you get will not be your ideal viewer profile. They will not buy from you. So it's easier to just do hyper-targeted stuff that gets maybe just a couple of thousand or 10,000 views, but at least these views that it gets will be exactly the right people that will buy from you. And I guess that's also something that Charlie Morgan noticed, because not only can this mass appeal be slightly less efficient for you, it can also really hurt you. And how can it hurt you? Because it might steal away focus from your business. It's very difficult when you get hundreds of thousands of views to then say, okay, let me just focus on my core business topics and ignore all the views. Usually, views are a little bit like a drug. You get them, you want more, right? So you think about how can I make a video that will get even more views than that, right? How can I get millions of views? The problem is you stop thinking, how can I get millions of revenues? You're thinking, how can I get millions of views? And as we already established, views do not equal revenue, right? So you should be aiming for revenue and not for these views. And I guess that's something that Charlie Morgan also noticed, because he started the Charlie Morgan business channel. Look, this is standard playbook in 2025. This is what a lot of gurus do that had this mainstream mass appeal and were trying to sell their products in the back end. And a lot of them noticed, hey, I actually get millions of views and it's nice, I'm famous, I get brand sponsorships and so on, but it doesn't really help me sell more of my services that my agency sells or whatever, right? So they are all starting these business channels. And Charlie Morgan did exactly that. He started 2 months ago as of recording this video, right? So 2 months ago, he suddenly uploaded a video, how to hire setters that book 3 to 5 meetings a day. Look, this video, this title sounds very familiar. It's something that he uploaded 2 to 4 years ago on his channel, right? So he's going back to what he did at the beginning, which was these hyper niche videos, right? And he's doing that right now on a new channel. Only thing that he's improving here is one big thing. He is starting with a proven thumbnail formula, right? Charlie Morgan and his team are really not stupid, but they are going in there with something that they know works, which is these weird thumbnails, right? With him in the corner and then these weird, all kinds of graphics and graphs and line charts and whatever. And it's, by all standards of perfect thumbnail design mastery, these are really shit thumbnails, you would say, right? Because usually you say on a thumbnail you should have around 3 elements. You should have a face, you should have some text, and you should maybe have one graphic, one element, right? It should be like reasonably large so you can see it on a phone screen and people get interested. And here this guy is doing like, what the hell is this? This face is not well lit out. You barely see it in the top left, bottom left corner. You see some super weird stuff here. Like, what the hell is this, right? You don't see anything essentially. And same for these ones, right? What is all of this? You can't see anything. But somehow it worked on his main channel. Some of these videos got hundreds of thousands of clicks. So he's going in there with this proven thumbnail formula again. Just this time, he's not addressing big questions like how do you become successful in life, because this will again attract millions of people that will never buy from him. He's going super niche, he's talking about hiring setters, he's talking about cold emails again, how to make ads that slap, again, cold DMs, how to hire sales reps for high ticket offers, and so on. And now, something that I really love about Charlie Morgan and also about other creators, he has a very unconventional style. And what I mean by that is he has found a style of presenting, which, by the way, I have my own style, which is kind of similar to what this dude is doing, right? Like, he has these recordings, he has himself here, camera is recording, and he's just drawing up stuff on his MacBook, right? He's just writing out stuff, and look at this handwriting. It's crazy. I mean, look at my handwriting, crazy. It's so much better, so much more beautiful. But even with this shit handwriting, he's getting a lot of views. And this format takes little time. At the same time, it's engaging enough. On YouTube, what I always say, as a business owner, you want to think about what's enough and how can I do this 80-20. You don't want to think, especially at the beginning, don't think, how can I be the next Mr. Beast, get millions of views, how can I make the perfect video? Unfortunately, that's how many of you approach the first videos, right? You're like, oh, my first video, it needs to be perfect. Bullshit. Your first video mostly just needs to get out there, right? it needs to be uploaded. And then it should fulfill some basic quality standards, right? The microphone needs to be really good. You should have some professional lighting, you know, but this doesn't need to be crazy. This can be a ring light and that's it, you know, or a softbox and that's it. You should have a reasonably good camera, but again, this can be your freaking iPhone, right? And then you need some way to make it engaging. Either you show some B-roll on screen, you have some small animations here and there, or you screen share and you draw stuff on the screen. This makes it engaging enough. It's good enough. And this leads to this phenomenon if you watch this video where he explains his calendar.
Now, all of the white space I have here, this is for like my to-do list. So this is where like I can make YouTube videos, or I can make program content, or I can hire people, or make decisions, or build things for the company.
So he has around 2 hours scheduled in his calendar, and that's enough for him to achieve his YouTube output. And again, of course, he has a team supporting him. He for sure has 1 or 2 video editors that help him with the editing. He has someone who thinks about his scripts, what should he say, and so on. But nevertheless, it's important to state that because of this format that he chose, this unconventional, good enough style, he is able to churn out content effortlessly. Now, how does he turn these views into cash flow though? How does he turn viewers into customers? If you look at his videos, even though he has, you know, he doesn't care. I don't care if you click the link or you don't, right? I'm too cool for school, right? Nevertheless, if you look at his videos, in each one of them, in the first line of the description, he has a link to his landing page, right? So you click this thing, you get here, and it's a fully sales optimized landing page, right? Marketing agency owners, coaches, consultants, and course sellers. He tells you exactly who he's selling to, and he tells you what you get. It's 30 to 100 qualified appointments every single month, and it's guaranteed. So this is an absolute no-brainer offer, what we call it. And to bring this point home, right, he also has the same link in the video descriptions of his very old videos. Here's one from 2023, and what I liked about this one, even though it's from 2023, it has like 17,000, 18,000 views. Look at this graph. This is the graph, you know, this is the view development. This is what we call evergreen, you know. And of course, these are just, you know, 18,000 views. This is not hundreds of thousands, but this is the power of YouTube. It just keeps on compounding. This graph just keeps on growing. And of course, he also has his link in the channel description, right? This is something you should always do. Some people do check the channel description and look at the links, and that's when they should be able to find whatever you're trying to sell. Plus, obviously, what he does very well, something everyone should do, is he does track where this comes from, right? Here you see it's from YouTube bio, so he knows exactly which videos people click, which links they click, and how these videos, how these online assets convert into sales for his product in the back end. Okay, bye.